welcome to Mead and Cheese, the Gentleman's Club, with DJ Mead.
DJ Cheese. I didn't know we were doing like a...
Because we're in the podcast studio, we don't need to follow the Ofcom rules. So
Also, I'm
fuck.
here.
Yeah, Maddie's
Well,
here.
we can't say that because it's still going to be trimmed off and it's going to be put on Setter. So everyone can hear.
Are we actually putting this on the radio?
Yes, after the polls have finished.
Oh, I thought this could just be something for the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think
It could be a bit both.
It doesn't need to be a broadcast. I don't think.
Yeah. So
I don't think that's essential.
Permission to swear, Maddie?
Granted, but I will edit it out so it can be broadcast.
Shit. I like the Gentleman's Club.
Again, this is a Passover meeting. It's it's only for publicity that Corey wants it.
Yeah, ghosts are real.
Anyway, I want to give me a moment.
Tom, is there any ongoing legal cases you want to talk about right now?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Ongoing elections. Right.
Who will be the Prime Minister?
What
Your mum.
I want to do is I'm gonna cut to a quick break while I set up, because again this meeting here is a very important meeting. It's a
handover meeting. Anyway, we're going to go cut to some music, so enjoy.
Hello. So anyway, before I left, I was talking about this Passover meeting, and as you know, Demon Media is a Democrat.
Matt Damon Media.
It is a democratic society. It elects its leaders. And as I am no longer going to be here,
Which is a
Corey
big sad.
has been elected by the electorate.
Very, very upset about that.
I'm not upset. I think Demon Media has had a good 6 months, and I believe it will have another great year to come. I think, although sometimes it seems dark losing members and leaders because they go off to, pursue other things, I want you to know that the future is golden. Your future is golden, and your next leader is going to be just as good as me. He's going to be better than me, and he's going to take Demon Media where it needs to go. But the purpose of this meeting is sort of halfly ceremony, halfly practical, to give, as a president of a society needs to talk to the next president about how they experience running it. But I want it also to be like a conversation about ideas going forwards, the actual practical side of running things, what it's really like. Because there's sometimes I feel like... What?
Headphones, put your headphones on.
Okay. Sometimes I feel that meetings can often give like a to-do list to do, but not actually practical tips on how. So in my actual document I wrote for Corey, I've actually tried to include some tips, but the document is meant to go along with this meeting. Anyway, I'm going to open it up.
Yeah, let's have a look at this beautiful document to see what you've made for us all.
There you go.
He even made the logo.
So this is the Department of the Chairperson, which is something I actually created while I was chairperson. I decided that instead of just being a leader of a committee, that the chairperson would have a...
He's taking pictures at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. They thems.
Just you keep talking about what you think of the logo.
Yeah, so the logo is Department of the Chairperson. It is a grand-looking chair with the words Demon Media plastered on.
Yeah, so again, my idea behind this logo is to show sort of the transition of the chairperson just being an individual leader of the committee to actually having a centralised department, which was something I was trying to build in the latter half of my
One thing I really like
regime.
about the logo, by the way, sorry to cut you off, but is the fact that he's put Demon Media at the bottom of the chair. Now, in medieval times, I don't know if you guys know this, but when the queen is crowned or whoever's next, thank you, Corey, they will have to sit upon a special stone that is slid underneath the chair. Do you know what that stone is?
A kidney stone?
No. Even I can't remember the name of the stone, actually. It escaped from me now. But it's a very magical stone. And they sit on it, and they're announced that they are King or Queen of England.
Is it the stone that Excalibur was pulled out of?
Apparently.
Very nice.
But yeah, there's obviously a lot into this, and it was something like, speaking hypothetically, really, is towards the end. Say if I was to another time, I wanted to really bring the department of the chairperson into actually have a
5-point plan,
like a separate committee dedicated just to running as the chairperson or having a chief of staff. But anyway, I digress. We will go on to the first bit, introduction. So this document here is meant to be a roadmap for you, Corey.
Yes.
It's not, but I want to really make this clear right at the beginning. This is not a prescribed method. This is sort of a collection of thoughts I've had about things. I don't keep this. I'm not wrote this in the third person. I've wrote it in the first person because it is a lot of things, my thoughts and opinions, and you will inherently have different opinions on things, and that's fine. But I want this to be sort of like a roadmap, and sort of like you can look at what I thought about things and then come up with your own conclusions. But there is bits in here which will be like a framework on how you could govern Demon Media and help bring your own ideas and strengthen them, hopefully. But I think everything starts with values. So that is where I'm started this document. I think so each chairperson wins an election based on a manifesto. So in 2021 December, I was different because I didn't start at the beginning of the term.
You didn't know.
I came in a by-election, so I built a manifesto based on that, and it was about bringing opportunities to members. It was about building a community spirit, and it was also about making sure people, could advance their own skills in different places like radio, TV. I wanted to give opportunities to people to, first of all, have a community spirit. That was my very most fundamental thing. And then I wanted them to have opportunities to get involved, but also have opportunities to build up their own portfolios. But yeah, I just want to sort of turn this to you for a second, Corey, and I want to sort of talk to you talk through what your manifesto is.
So, by the sounds of it, our manifestos were quite similar, because my manifesto was very much focused on having a united community of Demon Media. I wanted to get rid of any factionalism and have the society be one solid unit that all works together.
Because, this past year, possibly past few years, even though it's been very successful running it as a faction sort of led community, I guess, it hasn't really made sense. I don't know about you, but magazine in my first year, just before the pandemic, I had no idea it existed. Hell, I didn't even know how to get involved with radio. And it wasn't until, really my third year that I managed to sort of stretch out a bit, which I think, that's a bit of a fault of, yes, the pandemic, but having that sense of community, I think it drives you,
I agree. I think as chairperson, you're leader of the union of the strands, because we'll be honest, Demon Media is a big society. It's massive. And it has the potential to grow bigger, and it is in a way fragmented because you've got different sort of skills. You've got like writers, you've got photographers, you've got TV, which is all about video and radio. And I think it's about finding things what them three strands have in common and trying to pull it together from that. But also, I came to realise that a lot of people from the different strands, if you just gave them the opportunity to meet in good terms, you gave them the opportunity to meet in socials and in general meetings, there are projects where people, even if they're not as interested in like camera work, but they would actually want to be involved with that. You know, people generally,
if you give them the opportunity to, then they can do it.
I think one thing what I thought was very inspiring when people from the TV end of thing came on radio shows, and then there was like they wanted a radio show about things they were doing in TV, and I thought that's something what shows the society as a whole, I think, isn't as divided in skill sets as you might initially think. I think there's a lot of space for people to, you know, be sort of singular.
Yeah, I think a problem that we had this year, which it might just be my own experience, but I feel like the radio team are very easy to get in touch with and ask what's going on with radio and when can I get a time slot and all of this.
Well, when we first met, you know, it was immediately, oh, you're in charge. And it was like, well, I'm deputy at the moment, but yeah, if you want a radio show, say it, we'll sort it. And then I think you mentioned something about Amir being a producer last year, and I was like, well, if you know how to work a radio station, I don't see why you don't need to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I think the past years have sort of failed on, is matching people and making sure someone's there so nothing goes wrong, not really trusting the presenter. Like, the presenter brings the content. The producer, yes, is there to help just in case. But we want to make sure that the presenter and the producer are making content together. It works so much better if they're friends.
Yeah, and I mean,
and they know each other.
I had quite a lot of experience with radio anyway from when I did Takeover Radio. And to be honest, I didn't feel like having a producer there really added anything for me. Like, it seemed like you said, I could have just done it by myself and it would have been the same.
Yeah, I think you got a good point there. I think one of the things I've loved this year is actually being on shows with lots of people, like groups of people, and you have conversations, and it becomes like you're not. First time I went on radio, I was very, very nervous, and I just sort of sat there, and I didn't say much on that show, but you know, you have shows like the DMC, like Mead and Cheese, which bring people in, and they might not say a lot on their first show, but it builds up that confidence. And I think because it's like a community show rather than just this, you know, breakfast show, and it's just about songs, because it's like focused, like, you know, you had quiz shows, it's like it builds that community, and it makes it fun at the same time.
Yeah, but going back to my earlier point, as I was saying, the radio team I felt was very easy to get in contact with and discuss things with and figure out when you could get involved. But the TV and magazine, I wanted to get involved with projects with those two strands, but I found that they were very hard to get involved with. Like, there wasn't this clear line of communication with the magazine or the TV.
Yeah, well, we're not going to go into too much political drama on that end, but, you know, one thing I always strive for last year, and also this year as well, is using and utilising social media, which I think really failed on both of their ends, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to read an email? I'm not going to read an email. Are you going to read an email? I
think it's also, like, not just social media. One thing I really tried to encourage is cross-strand projects, which were unison. But I think we got to this point where it felt like it was one society. When I came into the chairship, it felt like it was one society, but three different societies within that. And I didn't like that. But again, I wanted radio to keep its agency. I didn't want to rule radio. I didn't want to rule any of the societies. In my view, and it still is my view, that the station manager's elected to run that station. But what I wanted to see was more sort of working together on projects, and more sort of like, for things like audio workshops. I didn't see why, in some sense, an audio workshop couldn't both involve TV members and radio members, because, you know, radio, a lot of them people are experts in audio, and TV needs audio, and I want to see more of that going forward.
But again, it was one of those things.
But it's hard.
This past year,
It's hard.
It's politics aside, it's been difficult, and not a lot of people listened. Let's just say that.
I think it's hard coming in, like for you, which I think's really good for you, Corey. You've got a fresh start.
You do.
You know, you're running it from the start. It's hard coming in as a leader, saying I'm now in charge 6 months in. You have to run with. It's another thing about you have to run. Your authority comes from the committee, you know, not from your job.
Yeah.
So you have to run with their backing. So I would go into meetings with them, and I would suggest, you know, trying to be. We did do some joint meetings, and they went okay.
I ended up walking most of TV out of that room and showing them the radio studio, and immediately getting them on, which immediately got them involved.
And there was people coming across, like there's people like on TV who started radio shows. And I also think one thing that was very successful was socials. We actually took that.
Finally, yeah.
We got socials up and running again with Jack,
Shout out to Jack Davis,
who I appointed as social secretary, who did a bit of radio, but he was a TV person at heart. So he was a camera guy and script writer, and we really made, by having a dedicated social secretary, which unfortunately you didn't have at the beginning of the year.
No.
I think that made, that socials, instead of it being like, this is one group, this is another group, it was like a united social where people could go and it was like after the first few, people were saying, oh, it feels like it's one group, two groups. But then I felt like after a while it started to merge, particularly when Vice Chairperson Corey at the time went in and he started talking to people in TV, and there was like, I want to get in radio. And it was like, it became like, it started to feel for me like we did a good thing. We changed. We started to make it feel like a singular community.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to avoid next year as well is this worry that, we might have a lot of meetings, but then because we've had a lot of meetings, people might think that, oh, we've done our demon thing now, we don't need to do anything else.
Yes, and I've literally got a whole section on meetings with my opinions, which you might choose to follow or not.
Well, my opinion is, you can have as many meetings as you want, but if you're just having a weekly meeting and you keep saying, yeah, we're going to do this, and then you never get round to doing it.
You want meetings to be actionable.
The meetings are pointless.
Yeah. I will talk to you more on that later, because I'm trying to follow this by section instead of going up and down, but I think there's a lot we can talk about there. But the next thing in values I want to talk about is relationships. Now I've been thinking, after going to the core values Change Agent UK workshop, I really did think what were my values, and these are 4 of mine what I apply to Demon Media, which are relationships, vision, advancement, love, and I think it was 4, relationships, vision, advancement. I haven't put love in there because that's more
a bit much
personal for me. I'm trying to think what the 4th one was. It 4 or 5 core values?
It was 4.
It was 5.
It was 5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I had relationships, vision, advancement, love. I'm trying to think what the 5th one was. Freedom. Yeah, I haven't put freedom in here either, but I have put vision and advancement
it'd be so good.
and relationships.
You see, I think freedom is one that can fit. I think, people should be able to have a certain level of freedom to get on with their own creative projects within Demon Media, whether that's, an article for the magazine or a fresh new idea for a radio show or
we need
a show they want
fluidity.
to
We
start
definitely
on
need fluidity.
TV.
Yeah.
Keeping it fluid, keeping it able so people can go from one strand to the other without being like, oh, but I'm more dedicated to radio, or I'm dedicated to... we don't need that. We don't want that. That whole thinking needs personally to go in the bin, because that's how this year is panned out. Everyone's stuck to their own strand, and it's well, radio's had to carry them, but that's just my opinion.
So I haven't explicitly talked about freedom in my values section, but I do talk about it.
I swear, if you say freedom one more game, we're going to have to get
indirectly
literally
in other
an
places.
eagle sound effect going.
But anyway, I want to talk
Or a
about
seagull sound
relationships.
effect.
Or a seagull sound effect.
Now, I put a lot of thought into this. I think relationships fundamentally are going to be a very important thing for you as a chairperson, because I know, like, broadly speaking, community is what you're trying to build, but it's the relationships you have with people and individuals what's going to build that. So I think it's important as a chairperson to make sure you sustain good relationships with not just members and strand leaders, but also with the broader community, businesses, charities, other societies.
Well, this is the thing. Liz, the editor-in-chief for the Demon magazine next year, part of her manifesto was to collaborate with other societies with the magazine, such as the Creative Writing Society. And I 100% back that idea, that if we can get other societies involved, as we have done this year with Mead and Cheese, and Maddie has done with the societies,
Socials with Societies.
Socials with Societies show, I think, we get other societies involved in Demon, and they also want to join in, and it's a good way of outreach for us, but also outreach for them. How many members of Demon got interested in the Hacker Society after they came on Mead and Cheese?
Exactly. It's a great, and also, like,
and the Airsoft Society
when you
as well.
bring other societies in, that you sort of, like, as I say, you find ways. The hackers could probably do videos, the hackers could do radio. You get ways for them. You build a relationship, and it makes your society bigger. It gives it a bigger footprint.
But then also, reaching out to external people, not just within the university.
Which, as the chairperson, that will be a big sort of thing. You will represent the president of the society, so you going out there and having relationships with businesses will make,
but also
Demon Media advance.
One thing I'd have to say, and that's so crucial, like the amount of conversations we had with so many societies during Freshers Week, even after the first few weeks, we had people flooding in from different societies. So we had so many people coming in from different societies that turned around and said, I had a really bad experience at this place, but I didn't expect to really enjoy radio and this, that and the other, because I got told by a friend that I would like it. It's those little things that we can do in the societies and just having that open conversation.
Yeah, but reaching out as well, like I said, to external people.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Maddie have been in talks with the head of sport for Galaxy Radio at the University of Leicester, and I've even been in talks with him to tag along to some of the Galaxy Radio meetings and maybe work out some collaborations that we could have with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
but
I think, building these relationships is a good way of, building a wider community, not just within the university
and also
itself.
maybe healing the division between Leicester University and De Montfort University.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got
Demon Media is quite a powerful society. You've got a lot you can do, and I think this will really link into the next point, which is the next value of mine, which it might have been one of yours. I'm not sure. It's having a clear and confident vision to take Demon Media forwards, because as chairperson, you've got to lead with a vision, and you've got to inspire that vision, and that can be a collective vision. It can be built from your committee. I recommend that you do try and integrate what they want and what you want with that sort of conversations. But I think when I think of vision, I always think of freedom as well with that. So you want DME to do the best, but I think you also have to enable freedom and agency within the strands to actually reach that vision.
Well, I think my main thing is, as we said, building those relationships, having a united society, but also having Demon Media be the society of opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, you join Demon Media, you have access to radio training and training on a camera, or, how to write for a magazine and...
Or editing.
Yeah, edit for a magazine or radio or TV. There's so much stuff you can learn that will boost your own CV or portfolio.
One thing that I have spoken to you about and that I really want to push for next year is marketing. I think we need a real push, that it isn't just 1 strand, 2 strand, 3 strand. I think we need a full, whole, together Demon Media push for TikToks, Instagram, YouTube, everything. I think we need to really push all together and make sure that we have a big enough platform.
Would you get rid of the strand-specific social medias?
No, but I'd promote more our main one.
Yeah.
Because it feels like we aren't doing enough on that. And then people turn around and go, oh yeah, I know the Demon, but I didn't know we were linked to FM, or you know, I didn't know that TV was linked to radio. It's like, yeah.
Like, that's the thing that makes Demon Media unique, is that we are one big media group. Like, when I was talking to the Galaxy Radio people, you know, I asked them, is Galaxy Radio its own thing, or is it part of a big media group? And from what they were telling me, like, at the University of Leicester, all of their, you know, magazine, radio, they're all separate societies.
Yeah, and this is a union, which is very powerful, but, you know, as we discussed before, it has its drawbacks, which, you know, it can be fragmented. So the vision is very important to keeping it together. But to go on to the next thing, value, which I think is arguably the most important, is advancement. And this is something I think is going to be so important, because it's easy to identify problems in a society or where things are going wrong, but advancement is fixing them, and the actual practical application of fixing them, in my view. So, like, you have a mandate, and that mandate can be the best mandate you have, but that mandate needs to be executed. And advancement is, I think, you need to, when you define your goals, I think then you've got to meet your committee and think, how do we get to this goal? Like, okay, we want a better marketing strategy. How do we do that? That's the question. Like, you know, what does that mean? Like, does that mean we have individual marketers in each strand, or do we have a broader centralized marketing? It's like everything, every sort of policy you put forward. So you want to be the society of opportunity, which is a great thing. It's then, how do we make sure we deliver on that promise?
Yeah. And, you know, I think marketing, getting involved with other student media groups is one way of marketing.
And to be fair, we don't actually have a slogan.
The Society of Opportunities. I really like that. That should be your slogan for this year, or whatever you want. But I think that's the way you put it there. For Demon Media is a society of opportunities. And I think, and not to, in a way, blow my own trumpet, I think, like, the last 6 months, I focused on community. I wanted to build that, and I think we've been very successful doing that in radio. I think we've still got work to do in the other two strands, in unifying them. But I think now what will really unify them is opportunities to work together. And I think if you focused on delivering opportunities, delivering your mandate, getting the job done, I think that's a good point. So I want to sort of move on to what are you doing? Oh, it's our battery. So you're getting him a charger. I want to move on to the committee. This is like a practical thing. This is sort of like how the committee built up. I'm sure you know most of this anyway. So you got your 4 core roles. You got the chairperson, who is yours truly, or mine truly. You got your health and safety secretary, who is going to be very important. I always had my health and safety secretary with me. The reason being is, if I'm doing something unhealthy or unsafe, I needed him there to say how I could do it better. I often had him there with me on radio shows. So
shout out to Woody Wiss.
So if we broke any rules, Woody Wiss was there, and to verify that we didn't break any rules. The treasurer is perhaps, and I had a really good treasurer. The committee had a brilliant
Emily was brilliant this year.
And that is such an important role, because they're your financial leader. They will make sure you're on budget. And I think it'd be a thing I didn't get to do particularly was have a conversation early on about the financial goals of Demon Media, which you will probably have to do more than me, because you've got to do the whole recruitment drive, which I wasn't really much of a part from, being only coming in halfway through. And then you have your secretary, which...
By the way, can I just say, I got my email back from the leader of the investigative journalism team, and I'm on the course.
Well done. Congratulations.
He said he was looking over my notes and he's happy to offer me the place for the MA next year. Well done for having CC'd admissions, so they are aware of my discussion. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Lovely. Anyway, I am.
Sorry
we
for
will
interfering.
celebrate that, but I'm a
Yeah.
bit conscious for time. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. Demon TV. So we'll have a station manager, a deputy station manager, and they'll have producers of different nature. So producer of entertainment, a producer of music.
I imagine it's up to the strand leaders to choose who they have fill those roles.
Yeah. So as this is an interesting one because it's not really your position to appoint, Demon FM station manager or Demon FM station deputy station manager. But I actually do think, as a chairperson, I think it's important if you feel like you've got a good judge of character to help with that element. Like, there's a lot of times where Maddie was in a situation at the beginning of the year, and at this point I wasn't chairperson, but we spoke about who we might appoint into schedule manager. We picked Tom Dye. We also picked Ed Woodwist to be involved as social media manager, and it's useful to have them conversations with someone instead of just making them appointments on your own, because you might have an outsider perspective on what would work well in radio, because remember, you have this overarching vision, so it might be worth having conversations with Liz, Maddie and Jack about who they have in mind for appointments. And like for this year, I'm not gonna say out loud who I recommended someone for deputy of Demon FM, and we had quite a long conversation about why that was. I'm not going to mention his name, but I also, in a way,
it turned out to go sideways. We thought he was a good option.
Wait, I'm talking about the new.
Oh yeah.
deputy.
Sorry, I'm literally about to post about him as well because he's got the job.
Okay, well I will announce it. Am I okay to announce it?
Yeah.
I was really keen on Torrin taking up a deputy role, because I thought I've always throughout the year I've had conversations about who Maddie should have in positions of power, and I always think you've got to pick people who cover your weaknesses in a way. Like, so you've got to be able to look at, not in a horrible way, you've got to look at your team you've got, your station leader, and in a way think, what would they need support with? Like for Maddie, she needs a lot of support with organisation. She needs someone. She's a great leader. She'll go straight into things head first, and people love that about her because it really makes things move fast. But she needs a team behind her who are organised and can keep things, coherent.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I do think that Torrin will be a great deputy station manager. He is a very likeable member of the society, someone who's very involved, goes to all the socials.
But he's a level-headed guy, which I really do appreciate.
Yeah.
As someone who, as Tom correctly said, and a bit chaotic and a bit crazy.
You're very
disorganised.
You're very much an optimist. What we need.
Yeah.
As the first, but sometimes you need that other person to sort of think about how to do it. And also, Torrin did get the meat and cheese. Torrin did get the Chairperson's Award of Excellence, which is the highest award you can give in the society, apart from Demon of the Year, which is an elected one. But Chairperson Award of Excellence is basically the chairperson's knighthood, And I also think sometimes with anointing the Award of Excellence, you can award it for something someone's done, but also you can award it preemptively of what they're gonna do.
I don't know about preemptively giving awards, but
if you can see things ahead of time.
Yeah, so I can see that the next
additional
section is meetings.
I just want to talk about additional roles very briefly. So you have all these roles. These are roles really which you can appoint. You can appoint a vice chair, a vice chairperson, which I actually had. I had a vice chairperson, Corey, and I had vice chairperson, Hugo. The vice chairperson's more of just a ribbon cutter. You know, he's the person who gives the ribbon cutter the scissors.
Yeah.
Director of opportunities, which you might actually want, is someone who can just focus on opportunities.
I mean, we are the society of opportunities.
So you might want a director of opportunities.
God, you
of
guys
efficiency.
are literally like twins. Can you not?
And head of technology is another one, which is like your head technician.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Committee meetings. So, so I opted to do bi-weekly committee meetings because I believed that meetings should be focused. I think having a weekly meeting was time wasting. I'd feel like there's not much you can do week by week unless you're on a project what needs a weekly meeting. That's my opinion on it. I also try to keep meetings online during exam periods or holiday periods, but I like to keep them in person during normal periods because I feel like it lets people have that human contact that sometimes they need. But yeah, I try to avoid having meetings for the sake of meetings. Sometimes less is more. But again, sometimes it is important to have a meeting where it is just like, you know, the committee, and it is just a catch up. I think that's also important. So it's about, and you as a committee leader has to sort of feel the mood of the committee in that regard.
Yeah, I suppose one other thing to aim for is for the like you were saying, the head of technology. It'd be nice if we could, you know, have access to all of our socials and websites and things like that, and just make sure that stuff like that doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
as I said, we've had such a big struggle this year with the lack of a handover, let's just say, from my end in FM particularly, and the fact that we haven't been able to access the website and we haven't been able to do a lot of things, and we still haven't got the Spotify account. But as I said, I've been working with Ian and many other alumni, and you know, it's been a bit of a mess still. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's different types of meetings. There's your committee meetings, which you will do however much you see necessary. As I did them bi-weekly, you might do them differently than that. Then there's the membership meetings and workshops, which strand leaders will organise. So strand leaders will organise their own membership meetings for like radio people and workshops, and then here's one. And then there'll be general membership meetings, which can be called by the chairperson at any point. This is where you bring the whole society together under one banner. Also, strand leaders, if they all come together, they can call a joint general meeting. There was a point where TV and FM had a general meeting together, which I encouraged because it was to do with RAG. Magazine didn't want to be involved with that. But again, you can. It is your executive order. You can use that as an executive order to call a general meeting at any point you see necessary. And there is some points where you will need to do it, particularly after freshers, after your first recruitment drive. I also think it's a good opportunity to do it at the new year as well. So, you know, people go off for Christmas, they come back, and then you can re-drive that mission.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and general, you need to talk about things, general housekeeping.
But do note, probably don't do a bake sale.
Yeah. Then there's project meetings, which are like, I use quite a lot of these, which is like very much focus groups. Like I had a project meeting for RAG. I had project meetings for other projects we went on. Like we had meetings for particular projects, and you know, they're really good because they're very focused, and they can also have each members in. Then there's one-on-one meetings, which I think Demon Media used to do appraisals about how their members were doing. I opted against this. I don't like how formal that is. I like an informal approach. But you know, whichever way you go, I think always keep any one-on-one meeting solution focused and not problem focused.
Mm-hmm.
And members may also want to come to you for advice about anything. So you might have a meeting with your head of TV about something which he just wants to talk to you about.
Yeah.
And then last of all, and I think this is an important one, as the person who wears the crown, it can be heavy. And sometimes you might feel like you need to get advice for yourself. So I have to remind you that your committee is there also for you to ask advice from if you need to. There's also opportunities where you can go to the DSU to ask for advice about running your society. Also, you can always call a former friend, like a former chairperson. Hello. If you need to talk about anything, that the former chairpersons are always very open to talking, or any former leader who you need to talk to would be very happy to talk to you. But yeah, they're the sort of meetings you will probably be having throughout the year.
Cool.
And here's the big thing, which you are the bridge between Demon Media and the DSU, the Montfort University Student Union, and it would be a good idea to introduce yourself to whoever will be looking after you next year very early on.
Yeah.
I think you may have already been invited to go talk to them with your committee.
Yeah, we are meeting with the DSU very soon
on the 3rd of August, and they're very surprised we're meeting on the 3rd of August
to discuss freshers.
Yeah, because we're organised.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Well, that's good. That's a good start. That's a good start. And also with I might show you. I won't go too much into this today. DSU will show you how to do this in videos, but I can go through it with you as well. So you will be able to manage the membership through the DSU website, like finances, booking activities, communication. Because every time, this is the thing, like sometimes when you think about it, let's have a membership meeting, like a big one. It sometimes feels easy, but you have to book the rooms and you have to do certain things in timely manners, and that's something you will have to know. But I can show you that some of them bits, and you'll be listing merchandise and also checking membership. As the leader of the membership, you can check membership. So anyway, we'll go on to strands. So there's 3 strands, as you know, Demon FM, which this year I wanted to really we took a decentralized approach with we gave radio producers more agency and freedom. We also
all for that. For continuing that.
Yeah, we promoted more freshers, what was interesting. We didn't have this sort of appointments weren't as interviewee. There was more, it was built on ideas, and I think that was a very good thing. And here's like an example structure of a team. Yeah,
because before, like, trying to get a show last year on Demon FM, it felt like you had to, go through this whole application process.
Yeah.
And you had to be paired with a producer, and you had to, do this and that. And I feel like this year you didn't really have that. It was quite easy to get involved, and you had more freedom to do what it is you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, once you set out your vision and how you want things to happen, but if you give people the freedom and the agency to do it their own way, and you encourage them along the way, I think you get better results. But yeah, here's a team structure. A role I brought in, which I actually am, is chief videographer of Demon FM. I had that actually before I was chairperson, but it was never really announced. Demon TV, same. It's a visual arm. It focuses on creating videos. I'm really excited to see Jack and what he does with Demon TV.
Yeah, he's going to take it far.
The one thing they should be thinking about is RAG and how they want to do that, because that's sort of, they're going to lead the sort of crew for that. Because this year we sort of had to merge, and a lot of it was propped up by other strands. And there's another example, team structure, and the Demon, the publication arm of Demon Media, which creates both online and printed, giving a student the opportunity to write both journalistic and creative fashion. The current editor-in-chief, I don't know if you know him, is Lady Liz Johnson.
We might have met.
And here's like a team, what she could build. So she could have editor-chief, deputy editor, news editor, entertainment editor, head of photography. I think it's quite an important one to get in early on. Head of design is another very important one. And, social media managers. And again, a lot of the appointments will be down to her, but as chairperson, you can have sort of like what the Queen says, royal advice. Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about decentralisation and centralisation, which are two policies I think worth discussion here. As chairperson from winning a by-election, it gave me an outsider look at how things could change. In places, so some places I really pushed for centralisation, like RAG. I thought RAG should be, we should have one group for RAG, and it should have radio people, it should have TV people, and it should have magazine people, and we could all work at it as equals.
You see, this is the thing. Like, I don't want to, make the society all, I'm in charge and we must do this.
Yeah.
But I feel like my attitude is also to centralise things. Like, I don't want people to think, I'm just a FM person or I'm just a TV person. I want people to think I'm a Demon Media person, and the whole society is one united front, and anyone can get involved with whatever strand at any time.
Yeah, and that is very important. Like, they see it as a unity. But also, what is important is also sometimes you may need to decentralise things. Like, sometimes a committee can't rule a strand day to day. The strand might want freedom. Like, I feel like this is why I don't think this is going to happen. But like in past regimes, you've seen sort of what happens when things are very centralised. When okay, we're probably gonna have to leave in a sec, aren't we?
Yeah, we should probably speed up the rest of the meeting.
Yeah. So there's times in the past where I think over centralisation, like people saying, you're a station manager, you need to come report to the committee about what you're doing. I think sometimes that can be very negative, and there was a station chairperson who would have took us more down that route.
And I'm glad that you didn't
Yeah.
do that, quite frankly, because I don't think something like mead and cheese could have existed in a society that was running that way.
Yeah, it's not good. I think it's bureaucracy, and I don't like bureaucracy.
So should we quickly skim through the rest?
So again, there's going to be Demon Media events, weekly socials, which one important thing I want to say about these is I think the chairperson, the committee should try and make an active effort to attend weekly socials. Obviously, you probably won't be able to go to every one, but particularly the first ones are very important, that the committee is there in union with the new members. I think that's very important, and I think it's nice to go to them. Social secretary is your party planner. That's someone who's going to be running that. That's someone who can organise, everything to do with socials, venues, the relationships we have with them. These actually talk about the relationships and when they was negotiated, like the Bowling Green Firebug, which was negotiated by Maddie, and the deals, and it's good to sustain them. The Christmas dinner, which didn't happen. This was before I was in charge. I'm sad it didn't happen this time, but it should happen next time. And I say plan early in November, possibly, about where you want to do, maybe even earlier.
Well, we talk about negotiating with outside organisations, and I want to push for negotiation with the Showcase Cinema Deluxe. See if we can form an arrangement with them, but also, other student media groups, such as the Uni of Leicester's media groups. See if we can, do some things with them as well.
Yeah. So, but that is a very good idea and very good point. And I just think if in a way you could map out early on what sort of key events, like the Christmas dinner, any Halloween events, like theme socials you want to do quite early on in the summer, so they actually get done this year, because for some reason before I was chair there was never a Christmas dinner, which is a very nice thing to do. Freshers Week, this is going to be your main recruitment drive, where I recommend having new marketing videos for this. I recommend having posters, marketing materials for this. We can talk about that in more detail whenever. And then each strand will need to do a taster meeting where strand members can go, and that's how you sort of get members in. And again, remember, the more slick the marketing videos look, the more cool the posters look, the more welcoming it looks, the more interesting the taster meter is in, the better, higher member retention we're going to get. Then there's RAG, which I might just skip through. It's just, the live stream at the end of the year and the FM broadcast. But you will need to at some point ask about picking the charity, which you already know. And then there'll be some form of pre-production talk, which should happen it will happen however your new committee sees fit. Last year, his chairship, Lord Thomas Jackson, created a chat with the members who were involved in it and had a very focused approach. But approaches change. Merchandise. This is a great way to raise funds, and it's something what we didn't quite get to this year, which I wish we could have, and I think it's a great thing. I would recommend speaking to the treasurer at the earliest point to do this. We could either maybe sell some over the summer or have it ready for when we are going in, and alumni may also want to purchase that, something to consider, because I would like a Demon Media hat. And
of course.
So that's sort of about it. And really, my closing thoughts are: it's for you, it's going to be a learning experience. For me, it was a learning experience. You sort of discover the sort of leader you are. You're leading a very big society. At the end of the day, and you learn about what you want. How you want to rule, and you will that will change throughout your time. Like, I learned that I sometimes wanted a lot of. We gotta go.
Anyway, yeah,
I'll give you the
give the quick closing thoughts, then we'll get going.
Yeah, I think what I really need to say is, like, this. It'll be a very interesting opportunity for you to learn, because it was for me. And how you want to be a leader you'll change over time. And I think the only thing I can say is I wish you every success in being the chairperson of Demon Media. And I think you need to remember that this great journey has only just begun.
Yeah. So this has been a very formal meat and cheese.
Yeah.
But I hope everyone listening has enjoyed this, and I guess we can now officially say that I am the chairperson of Demon Media.
Yeah, we'll do some inauguration later. You still have a few bits and bobs to do. You need to do your training with the DSU, but as far as I'm concerned, I am very confident that you're gonna run Demon Media into very great things. I think Demon Media has some great days ahead of it, and I think the whole membership should be excited about this new year coming.
Yep, so this has been Mead and Cheese, the Gentleman's Club.